All right. So after you guys get your palette totally smooth, you've carved all your wells, smoothed it out, you've added your foot, added your name, all that good stuff. We are gonna glaze these. Traditionally, people do their pots in two firings. They'll do a bisque firing and then a glaze firing. But this summer I learned how to do once firings with low fire earthenware clay. And that'll do a couple things for us. One is that we will get our projects back finished much faster. And also we're gonna save some electricity. So excellent, good for the environment. What we're gonna use for our palettes is this huge jug of pink stuff. This is clear, transparent glaze. I promise that it is not going to be pink in the end. Promise, pinky promise. The clay does have like a slight off-white color. If you want it to be bright, bright white, I have some white underglaze that you can paint on first. So let me know if that's of interest to y'all. I don't mind the slightly warm white, so I'm just gonna go for it. So I've got a brush. This is a brush on glaze. I'm going to cover the top here. I'm not gonna worry too much if it pools a little bit. My main goal is to get it all over the surface. You cannot glaze the bottom when you're once firing. Sometimes if you have bisque fired it first, you can, depending on the temperature you're firing to, you can glaze the bottom and put it on something called a kiln stilt. But when you're once firing, you're kind of doing your two firings in one, the bisque, and I'm just getting a little of the glaze out of these little nubs. We're doing both a bisque fire and a glaze fire. The raw clay has gases and things and organic matter that need to burn out. So it has to have some raw unglazed area to do that. If we glaze the whole thing, the glaze is gonna get trapped. You can, if you like, glaze this little edge all the way around. I think that looks pretty nice. Or you can leave it raw and just do the very top surface. You have to let this dry completely between coats. We want, this glaze is gonna be, the first layer is gonna absorb into the clay a little bit, which is fine. But then we're gonna let it dry. And then we will apply a second layer and then we're done. With a lot of our glazes, you wanna do 3 layers for like the brightest colors and greatest opacity. But since this is not a color, we don't really need to worry about it. Just 2 coats on the clear glaze is great. All right, let me see how to pause this. One thing I forgot to mention was that when you are done, you've done both your layers. If you have extra glaze in your yogurt cup, go ahead and pour it back into this big jug of glaze. Glazes are on the pricey side, so we don't want to waste them. So I'm gonna pour it all back in. All right, and that is all.